I'm predicting a Resident Evil 9 announcement trailer. I'm locking it in now. We're getting the tinfoil hats on. We're speculating. We're thinking, trying to predict of what's going to go on this Friday at Summer Game Fest. I'm hoping for a new Resident Evil game. Hopefully they give us some Resident Evil shit. Like I said, it's been 2 years since Resident Evil 4 Remake. They were kind of on a steady roll of like, they had 7. I think it was 7, 2 Remake, 3 Remake, Village, and then Resident Evil 4 Remake. And now we're kind of like, well, it's been 2 years. You guys got some more of that Resident Evil? I feel like it might be time. Like it might be time for a Resident Evil announcement. Early leaks indicate that the Resident Evil 9 may feature the series' first open world setup. That alone is going to be insane. Like a full-on open world Resident Evil would be sick. I don't know how they would pull it off. And hopefully if they do, they don't like put in a bunch of filler stuff. I mean, now would probably be the time to do it. I mean, why not? I mean, how else can you further expand on the Resident Evil title? Like, you've had fixed camera angles, right? You've had it in small areas. You've kind of made it co-op. You've done it first person. It's like the next thing is like, do a Resident Evil that's open world. I feel like that's the only thing they have left to try out. So it was 2019, January, Resident Evil 2 Remake came out. Then a year and a half later, April 2020, Resident Evil 3 came out. And then a little over a year, Village came out. And then 2 years later, 4 Remake came out. So, I'm thinking with the time frame that we should be getting some Resident Evil news this Friday at Summer Game Fest. I'm hoping. I'm excited for it. I think early Resident Evil games benefit heavily from linear storytelling. Yeah. For sure. How do you tell a linear story that makes sense and you can keep a player engaged and also be open world? Because like I was saying, The Last of Us Part 2, it was like wide linear. Village was kind of like that, like wide linear. Like you can kind of free roam in like certain areas, but it wasn't completely open. You know, you had your blockades. Would be interesting. I mean, it sounds cool, but like, would that be successful? Would that work? Resident Evil open world. I mean, I guess if it was like, I mean, imagine Raccoon City open world. Like, that's fire. That makes sense. That's what I wished Resident Evil 3 Remake was. That's what I was hoping for, because it's so heavily focused on the city, rather than Resident Evil 2, you're trapped in the police department. Resident Evil 1, you're in the mansion. Resident Evil 3, you're going through the city, so it's like, why didn't Resident Evil 3 just be like, it, Raccoon City open world? That would have been fire. That would have made Resident Evil 3 Remake so much better. But they simplified it, watered it down, and we got what we got. What if it's Resident Evil Outbreak Remake and you have to escape the city? Fire. I like that. What if it's not even like Resident Evil 9? What if it's not even like the... Because like we're saying Resident Evil 9 because that's just the next number in the series, but like what if it's not even 9? I mean, Ethan's story is done. And they confirmed Resident Evil 5 Remake and Code Veronica Remake, didn't they? Like it's been in the works or whatever, like pre-production. But what if it's not Resident Evil 9? It's just a new Resident Evil game. Or if it's another remake. Because I mean, it was Resident Evil 2 Remake. And then Resident Evil 3 Remake came after. And then they did Village. And then they did 4 Remake. But what if they do another remake? What if it's another remake coming up next? And not a mainline game? And it could be either Resident Evil 5 Remake that they confirmed. I mean, they could be just riding the coattails of 4 Remake. Like, hey, we hinted at Resident Evil 5 Remake at the end of Resident Evil 4. We confirmed it. So here's the trailer to it. Or what if fucking Capcom goes crazy since they're a partner? They're partnering up with Summer Game Fest. And they say, here's your Onimusha remake. Here's your Onimusha sequel. Here's Resident Evil 5 Remake. Also, at the same time, here's another Resident Evil. And this is all what we're working on. This is what you all have to look forward to. And they go fucking balls to the wall. And when you say Resident Evil Outbreak Remake, that game and that situation makes the most sense for it being open world. What other Resident Evil would work in an open world environment? Because right here, they revealed that Resident Evil 9 was originally planned to be a big open world multiplayer title. Dude, that would be fucking crazy. Like, kind of got my tinfoil hat on. Like, what if they just say, like, they've been listening to us behind the scenes about how we wanted a Outbreak remake, and they just said, fuck it, here you go. And it's going to be open world and it's multiplayer. That makes the most sense. And that's how you give us open world Raccoon City and whatever the fuck else. My thoughts have simply come from the idea that Resident Evil games have been testing the waters of multiplayer games, Resident Evil Verse, Resistance, etc. And maybe now they've polished the edges. And now they have the possibility of Resident Evil 5 Remake, which is co-op. And now they got co-op down pat. Yeah. That would make sense, bro. Like, they release... Like, what if they release Resident Evil 5 Remake next? To test the waters for how the co-op's gonna go. Especially with these newer consoles and shit. Because Village was like testing the waters for Resident Evil 4 Remake. With like the village situation, the castle, all the assets and all that stuff. Tinfoil hat is going crazy. Me saying I want Resident Evil 9 announcement. I just want Capcom to announce whatever new Resident Evil game they are working on. It doesn't even have to be 9. Now that I'm thinking about it, like... Maybe they announce Resident Evil 5 Remake. And say, hey, it's been 2 years since 4 Remake. We've been working on 5 Remake. Here's this little sneak peek or like a title and like a release date maybe. And then, because I'm thinking open world. Because technically it doesn't have to be multiplayer, but this saying that is originally concepted as a big open world multiplayer. What game would work with that? What scenario works with that? And then like Outbreak. Like, bro, give us open world Raccoon City. That would be, like, nothing could fucking top that in a Resident Evil world. In a Resident Evil game, nothing could top open world Raccoon City. And you're fucking playing as the infection, as the virus is taking over the city. So, like, shit is more open. That would make more sense. So it makes more sense for it to be open because shit isn't blocked off, isn't barricaded, you know, shit isn't destroyed and all that stuff. So you have more access to different buildings and streets and shit like that. And then as the game progresses, like shit starts hitting the fan and like places start getting barricaded and like shit starts blowing up, you know, fires are blocking certain ways, stuff like that. That would be fire. I'd like to see that, bro. That would probably make me the most hype. Them announcing an Outbreak remake, open world multiplayer, the ultimate fucking Resident Evil experience. You can like freely go into the police station, freely go into wherever else environments that are like in the main games. I mean, you have all the assets from the remakes. I feel like if they don't do that, they are missing a golden opportunity.